5:30. Appreciate everybody coming tonight. Welcome everybody to the Sumter City Council meeting, September 16th meeting. We start all of our meetings with a moment of silence, an invocation, and a pledge of allegiance. Tonight we led by Mayor Pro Tem James Blassingame. All that are able, please rise.
Let us pray. God our Father in heaven, we thank you for this day, for the beauty of this day. We're grateful for health and strength. We thank you for our beloved city. Thank you for our citizens who thought not robbery to attend this meeting of Sumter City Council. We're grateful for council, the members of council for their sacrifice and commitment to serve this city, to help improve the quality of life for all of our citizens. We pray for our nation, pray for our state, we pray for our county and city, and we ask in the midst of all of the unrest, chaos, disconnect going on, pray for peace, and we pray for unity. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. We have, going down through the agenda, we have our meeting minutes from the September 2nd regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve as written, or are there any changes that need to be made? Any moves, Gibson seconds, that we accept the minutes as written. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the minutes carried unanimous. In our packets, I'm not sure it's not on the screen. Before we get into old business, we do have a point of note. We have two public hearings tonight starting at 6 p.m. One on a rezoning of Westfield Road, another one on a telecommunications tower. So wherever we are in our agenda, it'll be a hard stop at 6, and then we'll pick back up. So just for the public's sake, the public hearing is different than the public comment section of our agenda. So we'll get through it all. Wherever we are in our agenda, we'll stop at 6, do the public hearing, and then pick back up. Moving into old business, boards and commissions. I don't have anything to add this month. Anybody have any news? I know we're reviewing that periodically, but just always keep a reminder for good candidates, folks that come by, and that you come in contact with, to go online and register. Always looking for good volunteers for willing to serve on our boards and commissions. So, any other comments on that? Hearing none, we get into new business. We've got the sale of property. Is that Mr. McCoy?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, members of council, as periodically we'll bring property that is deemed surplus property or property that we would like to see get back in the public hands, back on the tax roll. So we did some research on some properties we knew we had and found that there was not an ordinance to sell through a request for proposal on these properties. So we have them for council's pleasure if you would like to authorize the sale of those, and each one would have to go through a proper process to get back to the public. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about it. Again, these are properties that have not previously had an ordinance to transfer. So we're just going through the neighborhood improvement plan where we had several properties years ago and we realized that these properties have not been yet authorized to sell. So, happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Mr. McCormick?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Aaron, do we have buyers for these properties yet?
We have interest in all of them, but we'd have to go through that process. And council, I know we've spoken in executive session at least about one where there was interest So we would need, we're gonna talk about the details of the request for proposal before they're sent out on these properties, but we definitely have interest in all of these.
Any others? I guess, Mr. McCoy, I got one. So ordinance to authorize the sale, this so gives you and staff the opportunity to start that process, but then do they come back to us at the sale?
No, it will be, staff will come back and talk to you and council about what goes on before we process it.
Gotcha.
But this actually gives the authority to close on the property once we get to that point. But this would be the first step. We wouldn't put a request for proposal out there unless council said, yes, you could do it.
Understood.
But we'll update you before it actually happens.
So the other properties that we have sold in the past, I guess that's what I'm trying to confuse.
Yeah, so the other properties, we've had, a couple of different ordinances with long lists of properties, just like this. And council authorized them, and then we were able to start request for proposal processes. Typically what happens is we'll have, interest, saying I'm interested in these on this side of town or on these streets. So what we try to do is break it into different RFPs, so it's not 20 on one, it might be 3 here, 4 there, that are all similarly, organized. That way, if a builder is interested in building on this street, they might be interested in 2 more properties in the near area.
Thank you. Any other questions?
But you will come back before the council before the property is sold.
I will report back to council before they're sold, but there's no other official, action after you, authorize this. So basically, things that council wants to know, like what are we doing, how's this process going, you'll be fully aware of what goes on. But the authorization to sell the property or transfer it after that process, it would be on the conclusion of this ordinance.
Process being a request for proposal, like in the past where somebody brings and says, hey, whatever, and I wanna put a house on it, those types of things, and you compare the applicants that do.
Right, so what we've done in the past is we've said on the neighborhood improvement, which again, neighborhood improvement were those blighted properties where we went in, were able to buy the properties, demolish the properties, land bank it for 3 years, the council and governments helped us with that. And then we were able to get all of the properties that were rebuildable. So we had to combine some properties, we had to, in some cases, we were able to split some properties. But then we're able to go through the request for proposal process, and we work with planning to actually design houses that fit the neighborhood, make sure the setbacks are the same, so it looks like the neighborhood, but then get the best proposal from a proposed builder. So we take the best proposal, and that's the reason why we like to do 2 or 3 at a time instead of 10, because we have seen success now with owner-occupied homes in neighborhoods. The architecture looks like the rest of the neighborhoods, and there are multiple entities that have been successful doing this. I can think of 4 already. So we've been very fortunate so far. Not that rental is bad, rental will be a part of it because there's a big need for that too. But the request for proposal process lets us put out, this is how they're judged. Like, how can you score the highest, owner occupied, built like the rest of the neighborhood, these type things. So it's been a good process. What we would intend to do is keep council updated on the contractual matters before we sell them. So we'll be talking executive session about that.
So do we have a say in the property being sold? Like, let's say 1 out of 4?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, so that, we would handle that before the request for proposals go out. So if council says, hey, we think this would be better, it's a unique piece of property, on a major corridor, we would like to see it be housing to underserved area. The detail we put in the RFP, and we discussed that earlier, so at least one of these, we would need to do that before we could ever do the request for proposal.
I think we wanna know who's buying the property.
Say it again?
We would like to know who's these properties.
Yeah.
You'll know that.
We've already prepared a slide deck on all the ones that's been done so far with the pictures and the people who have actually done the work. So we'll have that for you by your next meeting.
Any others? Okay. All right.
I'm happy to say it's been very successful so far. We like to hope that continues to happen.
That's good. So is there a motion to consider first reading?
So moved.
Hasty moves, Blast seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Record show first reading carries unanimous. Item number 5, lease, we have 2 lease of properties. Item 8.
Mr. Owens will take the first one.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, members of council, what you have before you is a authorization of a lease of a property on 201 South Harlan Street. I believe we got a picture of it here as well. As you know, the Manning Avenue Bridge is gonna be under construction, and the company that is working on that construction has asked to lease this property. I'll put a picture up there, so it shows you an aerial view. We've had this property for quite some time. We have not used anything on this property at the moment, so it does suit. We're just in negotiations on that lease with this company, but this will give us the go-ahead to continue those negotiations. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
I would assume this would be a lease for roughly the period that it would take to construct.
So far, they've said 2 years is what they've asked, just to cover them.
Any other questions?
Yes, Howard, there's a gentleman that has he work on cars in that corner, that's not.
No, sir. This is property that the city owns, it's vacant. There's a building there, but it's vacant.
Yeah, so right about the white box that has the address, there's an existing building that will be demolished at some point. We're just trying to find the dollars to do that. But the property is perfect for the laydown area, all the materials, and we know the council wishes to expedite this project as quickly as it can be. And just the close proximity, it's appropriate. We just, like Mr. Owens says, we need to make sure, we have council's approval to do it, and then we'll negotiate with them.
And these are people that will be working on the bridge? or-
Yes, sir. This is
They've got the contract already to do the bridge. So there's some materials just under the bridge, but obviously there's need for a bigger laydown area for the term of the project, like Mr. Shaw said. So 24 months would be the max we're talking.
Any other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to consider first reading?
Motion.
Shaw moves, Hasty seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries unanimous. Item B.
The next piece of property was a request for neighborhood association to lease for a community garden. So this is just the format, give first reading, cursory first reading, and work on the details between this and final reading. Happy to answer your questions you might have.
Turn on this also, please.
So the term we've talked about would be 2 years initially, and then of course mutually severable thereafter. But just to make sure it's kept in good shape and it's active.
Any questions for Ms. McCoy? So community garden, just
Yes.
the neighborhood to come together, vegetables and fruits. Gotcha. Any questions? Hearing,
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sure when we lease this to the neighborhood association, will we clean off the lot, make sure it's presentable?
Yeah, yeah, for the very beginning, as we turn it over, for the beginning of the lease, we'll talk about what those things are to prep the land, and then from there on, it will be the responsibility, and all that'll be written in the lease, but yes, from where it is now to when it's handed over, it'll be a little different, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
last call, any questions? Is there a motion to consider first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Hasty moves, Gibson seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Record show carries, first reading carries unanimous. Thank you, guys. Item number 6, procurement resolution, 1003, parking lot.
Good evening. The Theater Drive parking lot project is the construction of a new parking lot at the corner of Theater Drive and University Drive. That is near the Palmetto Tennis Center and USC Sumter. The project scope includes asphalt paving for 204 parking spots, dedicated bus parking, sidewalks, storm drainage work, landscaping, parking lot lighting, and a tennis court. City of Sumter received bids for this project on Thursday, August 7th. Public Services is recommending awarding the project to JF Contractors in the amount of $824,620 as they were the apparent low bidder for the project. This project is being funded by state funds, hospitality funds, and stormwater funds. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from Ms. Copeland?
Portion is coming from hospitality fund. Is that right?
Yes, sir. So, a good while back, when we worked with the USC Sumter to get the property where the red clay courts are, at that point, council agreed to make a contribution toward the then softball field. And so that was $74,500 was earmarked really to go to USC Sumter. That's going to this project. And then, the stormwater, is about, I think, 37.5.
And that's a city fund, right?
Yes, sir. So what this is this is property held by, not just USC Sumter, but the Mid-Carolina Commission on Higher Education, which is a local, group that people kind of see the same as USC Sumter, but it's under the Mid-Carolina Commission. They were able to receive, some state funding for this project, but we were able to expand the project. What you see at the top of that is 6 bus parking spots. So we expanded the original scope to help with tournaments, but softball, baseball, college tournaments that come. So when we expanded it, obviously there's a little more cost, but you see we had a lot of good bids by local folks. So it's really really a good project where they're paying the majority. We're coming in with a balance, really from the hospitality, like I said, we've been holding for several years. They're going to this, and then the balance is really interest earnings on some funds that since we knew this was coming. So be happy to give you any level of detail that you'd like to see.
So we actually don't own this property.
No, this will be owned by Mid-Carolina Commission on Higher Education or USC Sumter, but we'll have a MOU going just for the future when people in positions change, there will still be an ongoing. The nice thing about this is even the stacking of parents picking up children from Alice Drive Middle, we'll be able to use this during the day when they're stacked up to pick the children up. So we've kind of taken that into consideration as well as you know that USC Sumter, both softball practice field, the softball field, the baseball practice, soccer being there, and they're looking towards track as well, working with Alice Drive if at all possible. So this was very key. Parking is a premium as we've seen in our last several events. So this one is kind of the best example of working together that we've been doing for quite some time. This Mayor Merchant was Councilman Merchant. He's been an advocate for us. How do we work together in this area between the school, USC Sumter Tech, and
So will we be responsible for the upkeep?
no, USC Sumter is theirs. We have talked about details of what we naturally do versus what they will do, but theirs will be the upkeep.
City Manager just mentioned, but if you see the curved line in the bottom right, that's the track at Alice Drive, and that's what USC Sumter's working with the school district, with the blessings of the school district. I think they agreed to, work on having a collegiate track team for USC see Sumter, so.
They definitely
All of
did.
that, and then pushing towards the tennis center, and then up towards, obviously, their softball baseball, so. Team soccer.
Yeah, that's right. The school board, with USC Sumter, speaking with them, unanimously voted to move forward with that idea. Of course, you know, that means to find the funds to make it happen in a mutually beneficial way. So I think it's pretty exciting to see it continue to grow and those pieces come together. And we look forward to a day pretty soon where it's all looking finished and look like we meant to do it the whole time.
So, anyway, last call, Chris. Sitting up there. Any other questions?
Questions?
Sir, last.
I know you said the, contractor get the low bid. Is the contractor local or what is it?
Yes, sir.
Local. Thank you.
Any others? In there, hearing none, is there a motion to consider resolution 1003 as presented and discussed?
So moved.
Kennedy moves, Shaw seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And 1003 carries unanimous. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And it's council reports. Anyone have anything they'd like to share with the good community or good council?
Mayor, council, I attended the West End Community Association meeting on this past Monday. I had to leave early. Had a great meeting, and I think Mr. Keith Ives, the president, B.I. Clyde, the vice president, they doing a great job. Had a cleanup this past little pickup this past site. I was unable to participate in that. They continue to do great work. On this past week, I represented the mayor and presented a proclamation, suicide prevention month. We had a program on the campus of Morris College, and I was pleased to present that proclamation on your behalf, Mr. Mayor. Your wife and I attended M.G. Walter's Community Day on Saturday as well. Had a delightful time. Councilwoman Kennedy and Councilman Gibson and I attended the Municipal Association Advocacy meeting in Lexington. Very good, very informative meeting. All us up to date of what's going on in the General Assembly. Had two General Assembly members there, Senator Ott from Lexington, Academy, and Representative Captain. They were there to give us updates of what's happening in the General Assembly. Last evening, I attended and participated in the prayer vigil on the courthouse steps. That was a very moving program, ceremony, memorializing the late Charlie Kirk, and also bringing the community together, unity and peace. Had several pastors and community leaders there to pray and ask that the community come together. And the focus of the prayer vigil is that no matter what your persuasion is, political persuasion is, this affected all of us, and we need to come together, just like we did with George Floyd situation. We wanted to do the same thing here in Sumter before it get escalated. And I want to thank those persons, some of you may be in the room, attended that vigil last night. Hopefully we can learn a lot from just working together. And again, I want to just mention this a couple times. Talk potholes on Bartlett Street. You're getting calls and concerns near West End Church, and potholes there. That's a widely traveled area, got a lot of fields over there, and close residents. I see the pastor, not visiting here, pastors, in the church, corner of Bartlett and Council. Pastor, Robert Thomas. But thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Anyone? Anyone else? Sean?
Yes, sir. First, I attended recently the Sumter School District board meeting and really spoke there encouraging them to reconsider the rezoning push, and I'm glad to see that they have chosen to delay that now along with other things, and I'm encouraged by that. And I don't know if you're going to mention this, Mayor, or not, but Claude, your son and others at Sumter High, the South Carolina High School League gave them the Sportsmanship Award, the only high school in that state. And that's the most coveted award. I mean, you can be good in the athletic way of field, but I mean, it's encouraging today to get a sportsmanship award. And I just applaud the school and all that are involved in that. Great job.
Yeah, and to that note, Mr. Shaw, Sumter was able to beat Crestwood this Friday night. They had the personal foul, and we didn't. So, unsportsmanlike conduct. Appreciate that. Thank you, sir. You know, I was just real quick. It's always encouraging for me this time of year to come together. I was up here this afternoon around lunchtime with the adult ed folks, and it's always encouraging to see those folks that chose whatever life got in their way, that they had to stop their high school education, but then have the discipline to roll back in and to get their high school diploma or GED. And then we also had the English as a second language folks. So I know it's challenging just with continued ed classes that I take, having to relearn how to study. And I can only imagine those folks that are, I mean, we've had, 50, 60 years old choose to go back and get their high school equivalency. So it's always encouraging. They let off 120 balloons a day to recognize they had 120 students last year, or this year, graduate and get their GED. So it's always, I say, encouraging for a community, because education is obviously always important to them and to pass on to their children that are going through it as well, and see the value in education and be a productive citizen. So it's a great group today. Anyone?
Mayor and Council, we had the honor, myself and Councilman Blassingame attended Keyshawn Scott. He was elected and sworn in recently. Great turnout, just a great event. He was really inspiring. He's doing some great things over 50, and he's excited about serving and excited about helping seeing 50, the district, just really move forward and grow the progress. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I would like to mention, in the South Sumter Park, there are 3 football teams of young boys, ages from 8 to 10, one team, from 10 to 12, 12 to 14. And of course, we all know sports teach our young men and women a lot of things about their conduct. The uniforms for these children cost $160 per child, and many of the children cannot afford the cost of the uniform. So I'm just asking the city to be aware of that. If there's any way we can support any of these young men and families, certainly on that side of town, let's please consider that. Thank you.
Anyone else? That's good timing, as we're right at 5:59, and so we'll have the public hearing, which I think many of you might be here for tonight. We have 2 public hearings, one rezoning and then a ordinance amendment. One on rezoning Westfield Road and the telecommunications towers mentioned earlier. I guess, Jeff, you've got these tonight, so let me read the guidelines for a public hearing. They're a little different than the public comment that maybe some folks may want to speak at. So The guidelines for public hearing at the city council meeting is the planning staff will present a request. Council members can then question staff, and the applicant can speak on behalf of the request. Council can then question the applicant. Then any city residents in favor of the request may address council. Then any city residents opposed to the request may then address council. And so this is where it's a little different than our public comment. If you're a city resident or have a financial interest in the property under discussion, you may speak. Each person meeting these requirements to speak, we give an opportunity to do so. However, should you become repetitious, we reserve the right to call time. And a decision may or may not be made at this meeting. However, a decision will be made at a public meeting. And once the public hearing is declared closed, there will be no additional comments from the audience unless called on by council. So with that puts us right at 6 o'clock. Jim?
Evening, Mayor, council members. This is a rezoning request, RZ 2515 for property at 3241 Wedgefield Road. The applicant is Gregory Kuchar, who's an authorized agent for the property owner, and this is a request to rezone a 2.2 acre portion of a larger 9.15 acre tract from residential 15 to general commercial. So the property is before you in red. What's in red is the 2.2 acres, not the larger tract. But the larger tract extends to Kilpatrick Drive minus the small little square, which is actually a cemetery. But the property is located at the intersection of Wedgefield Road and East Road. Just some aerial photography for a little bit more context. As you can see, the property does currently have a single-family residential house on it with associated buildings. Property is, like I mentioned, is in the R15 zoning district. It's surrounded entirely by R15 zoning, except for a portion of property on the opposite side of Wedgefield Road that is in the Conservation Protection District, Conservation Protection Zone. So the applicant has indicated plans. The reason for this request is because it's residentially zoned. The applicant has indicated plans to construct a plus or minus 10,000 square foot general merchandise retail building on the property. So this particular classification of use requires general commercial zoning. It's also allowed in the CBD or the LIW. The general commercial in this case is the district being requested. Just some site photos from Google Street View. This is at the intersection of Wedgefield and Chance facing the property. And this is at Wedgefield Road at the eastern boundary. What this graphic shows is the subject property in relation to similar uses or to general retail or general merchandise or grocery store type uses. Wanted to show this to you where the site lays and to where the locations are to other, mostly the Dollar Generals, but also to shopping centers for groceries and neighborhood markets, etc. So either direction, minus south, about 2 or 3 miles, and you're hitting similar type uses. So the property is in the suburban development planning area. Primary goal of this area is to scrutinize and manage existing development patterns, foster intentional mixed-use development, and to identify new commercial locations, appropriate locations for commercial and industrial development that focus on design form in an efficient manner. Staff's identified 3 policies that are after this request that are before you and were in your staff documents. The Planning Commission did meet on this request and considered it, and they voted 4-2 to make an approval recommendation to City Council concerning this request. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, sir. Does council have any questions for Mr. Dwarf?
Yes, so the planning commission voted for approval, but staff was not supportive of changing to general commercial and recommended going to a neighborhood commercial.
Yes, that's correct. So staff's recommendation to the Planning Commission was that we were unsupportive of the general commercial district due to the wide variety that's the highest intensity level of commercial district. Based on its location, kind of with near neighborhoods, a neighborhood commercial district would be more appropriate in this context versus the general commercial, and that was staff's position.
Anything else, Mr. Shaw? Anyone?
What do we use to draw the distinction between the general commercial versus the neighborhood commercial as it applies to a general merchandise store as opposed to a grocery store? Is it an offering of goods for sale? What?
We define our uses by the NAICS code. Grocery stores do have a separate NAICS code that would allow them in neighborhood commercial, but general merchandise really falls more under the box store. You could do bigger stuff under that particular NAICS code or North American Industrial Classification Code. So for the neighborhood commercial, which is really intended to be more neighborhood focused with neighborhood serving uses like grocery, pharmacy, etc., a bigger general retail variety store is not permitted.
So the Dollar General has the same NAICS code as a Walmart? I mean, when you say big box, I think of a Walmart.
Yes, I believe they do have the same. Walmart actually is very close. Walmart may fall under more of a department store type of a use, but there's that kind of specificity in this.
I think I did the little yellow line, is that the cemetery that's kind of boxed out on, right there on that slide?
Yes, sir.
The back one? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone?
I've got one more question. Mr. Durward, I see in the staff review that transportation considerations are taken into account at the site plan approval point. I'm looking at the daily traffic counts, they don't seem to be that high, but the position there on the road and some concerns that I've heard from other residents are how a curb cut or access to a parking lot there could be affected by Deschamps Road. All of those being the reactionary gap and the other factors, all of that is evaluated by DOT in the planning process that takes place after a rezone.
And I would envision any access point for anything, like if this was rezoned, whatever, for non-residential development, is far away from the Deschamps Road access points possible.
Anyone? Jeff, excuse me, I should know the proper term. What is it? It's the corridor that has certain design criteria on it. What's the proper term?
The highway corridor.
Highway, yes. So does Westfield Road here at this point have that?
It is not. This would does not fall under the highway corridor protection district overlay, which provides exterior review criteria primarily related to the exterior buildings. Call it for brick, stone, stucco, or those type of materials.
The protection district requires those.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone?
So are they gonna have to follow the setbacks and planting trees and shrubbery?
Yeah, if a request is successful and non-residential development occurs on that, it would go through a site plan review process where they have to provide required parking, required landscaping, to meet all the setbacks for districts, et cetera.
So how far down the line is that?
I would,
Would that come in second reading or?
if it would recur after a rezoning action would occur, then there would be a submission for site plan.
Ms. Kennedy, just make sure I know so right now it's just a piece of land that we're just rezoning for. So make sure it's not no building or no use is tied to it right now. Yes, ma'am. Anyone else? All right. Is the applicant here would like to speak on behalf of the request? Sir.
That's a pleasure, Council. Can I give?
Yes, if you don't mind, just pass that, kind of staff, they'll work it here. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, my name's Greg Guger, I'm the owner of Coastal Development Partners, and I am the preferred developer for Dollar General in much of the state of South Carolina, including Sumter County. When I started my company in 2014, Sumter's been part of my area ever since, so I'm very proud of some of the stores that we've been able to bring to your community, as well as employment, convenience, groceries to some of the outlying areas in your county, as well as, of course, tax revenue to the county and to the city. The first slide that I've got here is increasing affordability. We've done surveys, and from traditional, for example, grocery stores, most of our products in our stores are 10 to 15% lower than general grocery in areas. We create new jobs. Think of the number of jobs that are employed at Dollar General across Sumter County and the city of Sumter because of the number of locations. We have brought a lot of new development to Sumter City and County, and I'm not aware that we've ever closed a location in the entire county. I'm only aware of one location that we've closed anywhere near here. So we've got a successful model that works in your community. Also, one of the things that we haven't taken advantage of here in Sumter is the work with nonprofits, especially with literacy programs, that Dollar General is very interested in becoming partners in. So grants for libraries and things. Literacy is the hot button for them nationally, and I'd love to work with Sumter County to get some of that money funded toward here, with it being one of my core counties. And of course, the generation of local tax revenue. I've looked at areas that I'm in the county or in the city, in different counties and across South Carolina. I predict that this location would bring somewhere between $10,000 and probably $16,000 just in property tax revenue to the city of Sumter, not including what we would pay to the county. Compared to a lot of our competitors, we bring a lot of name brands, so we're not shipping everything in from China. And so you can see some of the name brands on the next page, but it's not all generics or things or products that you've never seen before. They've also put a big emphasis in the last couple of years, even hiring nutritionists at corporate and going, how can we provide easy, ready to eat, or fresh produce, fresh fruits, fresh meats in our stores that are more nutritious than you think of in a typical convenience store, for example, or maybe the Dollar Generals of the past. All of these photos in the next page are not marketing photos from Dollar General. They're actually pictures of stores here in South Carolina that I've been involved in. You can see some of the products. But let's move to the site plan, and it seemed like a lot of your questions. This project is approved by Dollar General, so although we're having to ask for commercial zoning, we have a 40-year lease with Dollar General if this project is approved. So we're custom building a building for them and putting them in it. They have options. They guarantee that they'll be there for 15 years, and they have options on it for up to 40. So we believe that it will be a convenience grocery or general retailer for a long, long time to serve this community. Certainly, we try to be good neighbors, and we recognize that we're backing up to the neighborhood, and therefore you can see that we are shifting our building as far, what would that be, east as possible. I love the tree line that's to the left of the property, and I have no intentions of disturbing it, as well as possibly adding additional buffer there. Dollar General requires that I put up fencing between me and any residential community. So we will certainly do that in this case. To preserve as much of the tree line in the front, we would also do. One of the things that was left out though, and if you'll go, yes, I believe to the next slide, although it is residential zoning around this site, there is a huge non-conforming use there that we look at as commercial. We are directly across from the racetrack there, and we purposefully go to an area that we try to, I always say it this way, snuggle up to other commercial. We want to be convenient to housing. We want to make it that people don't have to drive further to cut down on traffic. People don't drive out of the way to go to a Dollar General. So we won't increase traffic in this area, but we will make it that they don't have to drive down those corridors to go to get grocery items or other general retail items out of this community. And so we targeted around the racetrack as a commercial use, even though it does not have a commercial zoning. So you can see the aerial of how close we are to the racetrack. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, sir. Does council have any questions for that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
How many Dollar Generals do you have in the Sumter area now?
You know, ChatGPT was not my friend today because I actually thought of that myself. I believe that there's somewhere between 15 and 20. And at second reading, I'll get that request for you. In my own county of Spartanburg, South Carolina, I know there are 27. I actually look at Sumter and reminiscent. I think there are a lot of similarities between our counties. That I would guess they're around 20.
How do you choose the different areas that you want to place your Dollar Generals?
Sure. Dollar General has over 20,000 locations nationwide, and they've learned that there are a convenience retailer that I say if we can make it that you trip over it on the way home, you'll pull in, or if you are already home, we want to be the closest retailer for you if you need to run back out. They have an entire department at corporate that researches and gives me recommendations of where they would like to be. And this intersection was pinpointed as one of them. And so I take corporate's guidance as far as where to go, because they're the best of the best as far, that's all they do all day long.
What I seem to notice is Dollar Generals are in most of the poor sections of at least our town. Is that not
I would disagree with that. I mean, I actually proudly still own one of the locations out on Broad Street that does very, very well. You know, we're in a downtown area that I think used to be either a furniture store, or Fred's. We've gone in multiple areas of Sumter County. We try not to go in the highest income areas. They talk about depth of a shopper, that a highest income family is only going to shop us for convenience, but a more blue collar working class will shop us deeper, that they might go to us for a higher percentage of their overall shopping. So we try to mix it up. Also, we're out on Patriots Parkway. We're very proud of that location. We're throughout your community, and all of the stores do very, very well, no matter the income of the area. Thank you.
Good. Not on the same line, transportation. I've noticed, I've traveled around the county. I know this is city council meeting, but Maysville is the only town in Sumter County without a Dollar General.
You are on my list.
They on the list?
They are on the list. I have not been able to get that to work yet, but I haven't given up on it.
Thank you. My wife from Maysville.
Anyone else? Got anything? Thank you, sir. Yep. All right, this time, I could call you up if you don't mind coming to the podium as well. Any city residents in favor of the request? I'd like to address council. Any city residents in favor? Yes, sir. Name and address for the record, please, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Champs. Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm a city resident. I have worked with Mr. Gujar in site procurement for Dollar General for about 10 years now. And one thing I've learned through this process is that you never really know what kind of reaction you're going to get out of the community when you bring a store, or when you want to bring a store to that area. And judging by the number of people here, it remains to be seen whether we're for or against it. But more often than not, we have a lot of positive reaction to it because it does bring affordable convenience to the communities for everyday products that most households need. Specific to this rezoning, if you ride around or you go to a Google aerial or the county GIS map, you can see pretty quickly there are a lot of rooftops in this area, and there's more being built every day. And so as a part of the strategic plan, I think our planning folks and then you guys, ultimately, you want to provide some support to those growing areas. In this particular area, if we're going to have any sort of support type businesses, and that can be retail, it can be doctor's offices, it can be dentist offices, it can even be daycare, you're going to have to consider a zoning change, right? Because everything's R15 out there. And really, about the only thing that's allowed in R15 is houses. And so, back to Greg's point, we were very strategic about where we decided to zero in on a site. We wanted to be nestled up against the other commercial, non-residential use in the area. There's really only one, but it's a big one. It's the racetrack. They occupy about 40 acres across the street from us. So logically, it seems to make sense that if we're going to do that, then you want to be where the commercial activity already is. And so that's that's one reason we focus. The other is, if you go back to that outline, again, we'll show that we're taking a little more than 2 acres out of it's approximately an 11-acre site, I think. So we'll leave about 9 acres surrounding it, and the seller will hold on to that. So unlike just about any other site we could find that would have any potential, in this case, because we're taking 2 acres out of 11 acres, behind it, which would be to the north, and to the right, which would be the east, and then half of the south, there are no existing houses there. The existing houses that would be adjacent to it are on the east side, which I think that's Elkhorn. So in this particular case, it gives us more buffer, and back to what Ms. Kennedy asked, because we're adjoining residential, whether there are actually houses there or just zoned property, we have additional buffering with our setbacks that are required by the current development standards. So there was, again, I just wanted to speak on the fact that there are specific reasons we chose that site. It seems to make the most sense if there's going to be some additional services, potential non-residential uses in the area.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Owens, can you go back to the aerial? Isn't there an aerial show where the house is on there? So I guess, well, I don't know if it's zoomed out enough to be able to see that. Mr. Deschamps, that's why I was trying to figure out that last comment where you said it's zoned residential R15, but there weren't houses, I guess. And can you give me a reference of that picture up there? Can you see that?
Yeah, so, I mean, on the particular site that we have, there is a house there. We will remove that.
Right.
But behind it, until you get to that next neighborhood, I guess you can just see there.
Yeah, we can't zoom out far.
If you go back to the other one, that shows the red outline of the property, that one. So the red is our site, and then behind it, where you don't see any small lots, that's the remainder of the parent parcel from which we are purchasing this property. So you got, probably 5 acres behind it, a couple acres to the east of it, and then of course the racetrack across the street. There are no houses on currently.
Thanks, sir. Any other residents or anyone in favor of the request? Yes, sir. Favor of the request.
Hello, my name's Bobby Newman. I own TCO Construction in Sumter County. Lifelong residents, own properties inside the city also. And I'm a Dollar General shop. I shop every week. Dollar General has been good to our company because we build all of Mr. Guzman's sites. And he takes very proud very proud of his sites and stuff. And we employ 50 people. So it does more than just bring retail businesses here. It supplies local businesses also. And we are highly in support of this project.
Thank you, sir. Anyone in favor would like to speak? Anyone in favor? Still all in favor? Yes, sir.
I'm the owner. Can I speak?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And just while Mr. Hodge comes up, I think some that may have signed up to speak at the public comment that probably won't speak here. Mr. Duggan, I was just trying to think. So you're allowed to speak if you choose to, in favor or opposed. Yes, sir. Name.
My name is Charles L. Hodge.
Thank you.
I lived in Sumter all my life. Graduated from high school and opened up a business in April 1974. So I've been in business in this town 51 years this past April 1st. And I know there's people for it and I know there's people against it. But my take on this is the racetrack is across the street. It's approximately 40 acres of land that's been used in that manner for 70 years, probably 70 years. And I think this is consistent with the activities across the street. And I think that's what makes it the difference, you see. The other point that I'd like to make is I'm employed. I'm a small business. I employ around 150 employees. And I have to take care of my employees. And this is part of what I have to do to take care of them. Now, that being said, I think that the tax base is good for the city and the county because I pay a lot of taxes. And I think everybody that lives in the city or the county, if you got any benefits, water, sewer, whatever, tax base is what provides you to be able to do the services. And we have to have it. I'm sorry if anybody's offended to it. I just happen to own the property. And I think this is the best situation for the community there and myself as owner. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Hodge. All right. Anyone else in favor would like to speak? Anyone in favor? Gary, can you ask anyone in favor about that? In favor. Just want to make everybody have an opportunity. So, any last call? Anyone in favor? Hearing none, anyone opposed like to speak on the request? Anyone opposed? Yes, ma'am. I saw your hand first.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Johnson, and I live at 260 Planters Drive, which is the neighborhood right behind that property. I've lived there since about 2003. When I moved there, most of those houses to the left of that parcel weren't even there with this field. I have an issue with that being zoned as commercial because, first of all, that's the stop sign at the end of the champ, and it comes in at an angle. It's not a good angle, and it's not a great intersection because that is a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit on Wakefield Road there, and people come flying through it. Also, talking about traffic, Kilpatrick is where my subdivision empties out onto Wakefield Road. When racetrack is going, you might have to wait 5, 10, 15 minutes to get out of Wedgeship Road, unless you go out the only other exit out of the, place. People trying to get out from the race or from the practice on Thursday night, they may have to sit and wait if traffic is heavy. That road gets a bit of traffic, let me tell you. Now, as far as this being I heard a lot of talk about neighborhood and serving the neighborhoods, and people don't have to drive to get there. We have no sidewalks on Wedgeville, we have no sidewalks on DeChamp, we have no sidewalks in my neighborhood, nothing. It is just 55-mile-an-hour traffic or residential traffic, 20, 30 miles an hour. Where I am coming down DeChamp, it's 55 as well. And to expect people to walk along the highway like that it's not gonna happen. Plus, we don't have streetlights out there. Unless you have a couple of streetlights in your neighborhood, there are no streetlights on Wedgefield or DeChamp, except for a few where houses are. Also, we have a Family Dollar, I believe, could be Dollar General. They all kind of look the same sometimes, but we have one up on St. Paul Church Road. We have a Dollar General down on Patriot Parkway. We have a brand new Quick Stop with a gas station that was just built on the far end of DeChamp. This year, it was finished up. And they put a light in, thank goodness, at DeChamp and Patriot Parkway. We have a Dollar Tree that is across from the Walmart market. Honestly, we have 3 or 4 places that we could go to for shopping within 3 to 5 miles, guaranteed. We are not looking to walk somewhere. The other issue I have is light pollution. People have houses there. You are probably going to have some kind of lighting on the outside of that building, being a commercial building. You don't want to encourage thieves. Probably gonna have to have some lighting in the parking lot. I wouldn't want my backyard. I don't care how much land is there. That's a whole lot of light. Because I can tell you, I see the racetrack light. I can't see the racetrack. I can hear it, even with my windows closed. We have 2 pieces of property on the other end of Wedgefield, down almost, they're on the corner of Loring Mill and Wedgefield Road, that have been for sale for years as commercial property. One, I believe, is, it's been on the market for, according to this one site, 1,196 days. It's 2334 Wedgefield Road, 8.7 acres, mixed use. And there's another property right across the street from it. There are 2 other properties, one for 2 and one for 2.7 acres, but on the real estate site, I could not tell what their zoning was, and I didn't have time to go look it up with the county. But I understand that you think this is bringing an opportunity to our neighborhoods, but as a long-term resident of this particular neighborhood, and I might speak for a number of people here, it's not an opportunity that I want in my neighborhood. I am perfectly fine driving the 3 to 5 miles down to the Walmart, down to the Dollar Tree, up to the Dollar Tree on Patriot Parkway or Family Dollar on St. Paul's Church Road. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am, thank you so much. Mr. Doug, I saw your hand.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Joey Duddy. I live in the city of Sumter. I live at 30 Wildberry Lane, which is my neighborhood butts right up to where this Dollar General will be. First thing I'd like to mention, just a couple things, I know we've only got a little time. When it comes to the city and the county and the tax base, and I realize that this could be They're gonna pay taxes, all that's gonna take place. But let's think about the demands on public safety. The demands that it's gonna cost the city whenever this building is built, if it's approved. One thing is traffic. They did a traffic study. Well, we know traffic's gonna pick up. People do not pay attention when they're driving. We got the police chief that's standing right behind me, former colonel of the highway patrol, and he knows people don't pay attention when they drive. There's gonna be more accidents that are gonna take place, which in turn is gonna put more demand on law enforcement, on fire, and EMS to have to come out of that area. That's the first thing, public safety. The second thing is call for service. Whenever you put a commercial building up, you have a Dollar General or any type of grocery store, whatever it may be, they're required by code to put alarms in it. Burglar alarms, fire alarms, all these things are required to come in. Well, every time the burglar alarm goes off, who has to go? Law enforcement. Our dispatchers have to take that call. They dispatch our law enforcement officers. They respond to that call. Fire is the same way. So you're putting more demand on public safety because of the business that's going to be put in that position. The other part on public safety is litter. Now, the city and the county are big on litter. Matter of fact, how much money has the city and the county spent over the last 5 years on litter? They've hired a litter control officer in the city. You've got litter control officers in the county. You've got equipment that you've had to purchase to be able to help keep up with litter. Well, whenever you have a new business that comes in, it's going to become old. I would ask you, and you all know, you can walk around, ride around, and look at parking lots, grocery stores, different parking lots that are in the city and the county, and look what they look like. Well, when cars come in and out, the wind blows, where does that trash go? It goes into the right of way. Who's responsible for cleaning it up? Our tax dollars, because we have to take the state, the city, and the county to have to go in and pick that trash up. That's another burden on our citizens and our taxpayers. Noise pollution. Now I realize that the racetrack has been there for an extended period of time. The racetrack has been there before our neighborhood's been there. So we inherited that noise. But the thing that we did not inherit is whenever Dollar General comes in, and he's already said that he will comply with the new putting up shrubs and all that stuff. Well, that's part of what is going to be responsibility. But that doesn't mean that they won't have to take down all of the woods and the other things that are there, which in turn are a natural barrier for sound to be able to keep that racetrack and the sound barriers from going into the neighborhoods. That's another thing to consider. The young lady that was standing up here a minute ago mentioned something about Dollar Generals and Family Dollars. We can drive 2.5 miles one way to Spads Market and be at a Dollar General. We can drive 2.5 miles down to Chance Road on the Patriot Parkway and be at another Dollar General. So the location for us is irrelevant. I don't know what the Dollar General business model is. I realize they've got people that are a lot smarter than me that decide where they're going to put them and what they're going to do. But I do know this. I know about supply and I know about demand. If they continue to build Dollar Generals on every street corner, because that appears what they want to do, eventually the demand is going to be less than what the supply is. And the gentleman said that they're going to have a 15-year contract that they're going to have to be able to make sure they stay open. Well, you know what? After 15 years, if the supply and the demand is falling apart, what is the building going to do? They're going to wind up figuring their way to have to close something because they're not going to be able to continue to supply a building that doesn't have the demand for the people. Once they have the building, if it closes, whatever it may be, then you have what's called the broken window theory. Now I won't go into a bunch of things about broken window theory. The chief can guarantee he can tell you all about that. The broken window theory briefly is you have somebody who's got an abandoned structure, a house, building, whatever it may be. The window gets broken. Nobody does anything about it. People continue to watch it. The next thing you know, the door gets kicked in. Nobody does anything about it. Next thing you know, people are inside, living in the building, selling drugs out of the building, homeless are coming in, whatever it may be. And this might be far-fetched, but that is the theory of the broken window syndrome. That is the theory. And you can look at it, it's happening all over the city in different areas. That's why we talk about blight in the very beginning. The blight is what you talk about as far as cleaning things up. That is exactly what could happen in the next 15 to 20 years if they don't take care of that. Now, the last thing is, the motto of Sumter is, it is a great place to live, work, and play. Everybody knows that motto, right? Well, I can assure you this. We do not want to live next to a Dollar General. And the last thing we want is our kids and our grandkids. The last thing we want is our grandkids to have to play outside with a Dollar General in our backyard. So I would ask you, on behalf of the citizens that are here from Trailwood, from planners, from wherever else, if y'all will stand up, please, and all the ones that are in the back. Council, stand up. I respectfully ask you on behalf of us to vote no on this zoning change. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else opposed like to speak on that? I do ask, just we've got a lot, and then if we can get a few more, it's obvious that we've got a large support in opposition. So if you've got something new, maybe we can speak. I saw this gentleman up real quick, sir. If we can, deep range.
Just real quick, Mr. Duggan called the line already for me, so I'm not sound like a broken record.
Name and address, please.
Hubert Moser, 35 Elkhorn Trail. That's my property line that butts up all the red you see. That's me right there. So I have an 8-year-old and I have a 10-year-old that play in that backyard every day. So you can already feel, understand my concerns, especially for my family. There's a wood line there that I'm on a piece of. Mr. Hodge owns some. They got a clubhouse in there, and it's real scary for me. But yeah, that's about all I got.
No, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Jacqueline Overfield. I live at Sherwood. Good evening. I would like to go back to whenever the individual first introduced the whole project, and he compared Walmart, and you asked if Walmart could go in there, and he coded it, and I'm sorry, I didn't catch it. He coded it, and he said it's the box store. All right, and he said, no, Walmart could not go in there. However, you asked, would DG be considered that? And he said, yes, Walmart, DG could be kind of considered that. So I would like to know if he could talk about that. Would DG be considered?
Ma'am, if you'll direct your comments to me, please. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. Would DG be considered the same coding as Walmart, in this instance? Only going by what he had said, because if DG is considered, because it is selling the same as Walmart, then why would it be allowed to go there?
Yes, ma'am, and I don't know, Jeff, if you don't mind, not to get into a big question and answer, but just for clarification, it is confusing, so.
Right,
In
I'm
neighborhood
sorry.
commercial, a grocery store can go in the neighborhood commercial, you may have mentioned that, but general commercial requires a Dollar General to go in. So it's just interesting, and I guess it's the way the NACE codes or SIC codes, the way a business is classified, is what goes where in the different zoning types. Is that a fair, did I explain that, Jeff? If you know, clean that up, if you don't mind, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, for the general commercial district, just to be clear, a Dollar General and a Walmart, big box store could both go in the Dollar General.
In a general
In a
commercial.
neighborhood commercial, a Dollar General or anything classified under that general merchandise retailer or department store, which might be a broader category that fits the Walmart, would not be allowed in neighborhood commercial. But to clarify, the grocery store would. But there's a distinction between a general merchandise retailer and a grocery store. And this wouldn't be allowed would only be permitted in these.
Thank you.
It just surprised me that they would be the same, because I think of a Dollar General a lot different than I do of a Walmart or something.
That's all, I just wanted to bring something
Thank
to
you.
track.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. There's a couple other hands. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Michelle Pappas. I also live in that neighborhood that backs right up to the property there. Studies have shown that Dollar General stores do more harm than good for local businesses, community growth, and safety. Of course, oversaturation has been discussed already, but we do indeed have 2 Dollar General stores very near those neighborhoods already. Reports from The New Yorker and ProPublica show that Dollar General employees and customers are at a higher risk of being a target of robberies, shootings. Now let's dive a little deeper into that. Between 2014 and 2021, more than 150 people were killed by gun violence at Dollar General stores, and these are not all inner city shootings. Across our nation, another 329 have been injured, according to Institute for Local Self-Reliance, citing data from the Gun Violence Archive. Now let's keep in mind that more lives have been lost since then. According to studies by ProPublica, Dollar General stores, quote, are thriving while fostering violence and neglect in poor communities, end quote. A look into local records at the Sumter County Sheriff's Office will show that Dollar General break-ins, armed robberies, and violent crimes have already been committed at Dollar General stores here in Sumter. An even deeper dive in our beautiful state will show an alarming number of violent crimes, including murder, brawls, gun violence, and more, in Dollar General stores here in South Carolina. Is this what we want to invite to this city and this county? Sumter is a growing city full of potential and beauty, but as we all know, crime has been a crippling sore spot for this community. Do we really want to invite the potential for more crime and violence into areas of Sumter that are currently growing and improving? Areas that are filled with families and children, as you've heard from other concerned residents here. Children that play right up against there. I walk right there in that neighborhood. Sumter has enormous potential to become a viable, safe, and welcoming place on the map of South Carolina. Let's move forward and not backwards. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, my name is Woody Boyd. I live at 95 Elmore, and the row houses that backs just up to the red there. I voice some of the same concerns as you've already heard. Others that have not been mentioned is the foot traffic of children in the neighborhood trying to get to the store, that they will only be able to access from the Champs or Westfield Road, which is a high traffic area. Mr. Hodge, I thank you very much for coming up here.
Sir, please direct all comments.
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
I do apologize. And I believe that, I'm not sure who owns the racetrack now. I don't want to speak out of turn on that, but I think he's very familiar with that location also. And I agree with what Mr. Duggan said. The racetrack was there before the neighborhood. What I do have concerns about is that lot of land, the 9 acres and all, it's been for sale for a long time. It hadn't sold. I can't tell you the exact amount, but it's been about $200,000 is what was the asking price for that land, because I considered it, because it backed up to my neighborhood. I did look up Dollar Generals. Dollar Generals do a 15-year lease. They average $175,000 a year that they pay their lease. Just information worth noting there. I think we got enough people here that
the neighborhood would be willing to buy the land now for what it's for sale, but I think that opportunity has passed. But please just take into consideration, none of you guys would want this in your backyard. And he did mention, they don't put Dollar Generals in higher end neighborhoods. Just think about it. There's more of a reason there why they don't. They're not building this on Wilson Hall Road. They're building it in your backyard. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We got one more. That's been said. Yes, sir. I saw you in the back. You got something new to share with us?
Joe Albritton, 3280 Westfield Road. My wife owns the chunk that's conservative, whatever, on the corner. So they're building across the street from me, not the racetrack. The racetrack is not even covered by any of that red. That's the parking lot. The racetrack is the next property. The racetrack is probably the best neighbor I've ever had in Sumter County. I love it. They're temporary, they don't steal nothing from me, which had to happen, and I think they're great neighbors. If it's gonna happen in that tract of land, move it. It's, you know, you always, had a friend that owns Chick-fil-A. They always worried about traffic at the intersection. Well, then all of a sudden you have stuck it dead in a bad intersection. Since I've lived where I'm at, I have witnessed or helped with 7 different accidents in front of my property. Not down the street, or at the intersection of the Champ, Westfield Road 7. Haven't had anybody killed yet, but I've been told that once they do, they'll put a traffic light or either a traffic spur. And that's the only way to get either one of those. And I don't want to see anybody killed, but I also don't want my front yard turned into a traffic truck. And the rest of that is redundancy, so I'm the only one that's looking at it. Not the racetrack, it's our property. Do something different, or just don't do it at all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Albritton. Yes, sir. Excuse me.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, or actually good evening, Mr. Mayor, councilmen and women. My name is William Day III. I reside at 300 Planters Drive, and I am in opposition to the Dollar Generals. I come to you with numerous observational experiences, not only here in Sumter County, but also from Oswego, New York. Now, earlier today, there was a gentleman that mentioned the broken window theory. If you look further into the operations of Dollar General, generally within 3 months, there is always a break-in with a new Dollar General. Now, if you look at break-ins, there were in 2024 at least 2 burglaries right here in Sumter County. Look at the public record, September 5th and September 13th, same location, burglaries. If you look at windows, when you're driving by, they even have made, thank goodness, my ChatGPT works. So your question, how many stores in Sumter County? 20. Within where I live at 300 Planters Drive, I can tell you, I could probably within 8 minutes drive to 5 Dollar Generals. 346 Pinewood Road, 3520 Patriot Parkway, 5 Alice Drive, 20 North St. Paul Church Road, 1630 Stingley Livestock Road. That is ridiculous. Is it a gas station or a convenience store? And are you telling us, Dollar General, that we as Americans are lazy? If we're going to build a store that has groceries to compete with the Walmarts, my friend's recommendation, perhaps on behalf of the community, and I'm not speaking on all of them, but they probably would prefer something like an Aldi's. That makes more sense. You have one entrance, one exit, because if you build there, I've seen people, when I make my right turn, I see another car coming from the opposite side of Wedgefield Road. When I'm trying to go right, they're going left at the same time. In addition, opposite of that store, there is a huge, massive ditch that's probably at least 6 to 8 feet. I can only imagine a head-on collision or someone trying to avoid a head-on collision being stuck in the ditch. And I know of one incident within the year that actually happened to a single driver. What was the cause? I do not know. Now, if, again, as I mentioned earlier, there are 20 Dollar General stores. Also, with these convenience stores, the Dollar General, the Family Dollar, the Dollar Tree, they are struggling. There has already been consolidations with the Dollar Tree and the Family Dollar. This industry is becoming overly saturated. We do not want to have an eyesore with a company that is struggling right now, and especially as our economy is indicating the recession lurking around the corner. This does not make sense. Now, Sumter takes great pride in community cleanliness. That has helped attract numerous businesses, especially EVAC. They evaluated coming into Sumter because they thought we were one of the cleanest cities. I don't know, members of the council, have you driven by all the Dollar Generals? I do constantly. They constantly have their trash compactors full, they have their bins, they have the metal carts. It is an eyesore. Now the crimes, again, it is ridiculous. Now, let's talk about store closures. Just in 2025, again, everything's on ChatGPT.
If we can be,
Yes,
yes, sir,
I'm
yes,
on
sir.
the right.
Private, please, yes, sir.
So if you look at ChatGPT, and I'll be happy to share this information, in 2025, they are planning to close 96 Dollar General stores plus 45 off-shelf stores. And right here in Sumter County, one of the 20 located at 37 Nadine Drive, which again is 15 South, it is slated, according to MapQuest, to be closing. So why are we going to invest in a company that is slated to close one of their stores here? They should focus on its image and rebuilding it for success. I conclude my statement.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir, you're doing great. Anything new to add, because we're getting borderline repetitious on some of our companies, so we appreciate all those coming out tonight.
Just real quick, my name is Jeremiah Daniel. I live at 65 Elkhorn Trail, so my property backs up to the property that's proposed to be in the zone. My question is, and I don't know if City Council or anyone else can answer this, but if a Dollar General were to go in there, how much of an increase on property value will that have, or does it even increase? And then, I mean, my wife and I, we've been considering relocating, and I think a Dollar General goes in behind our house, more than likely we'll relocate. I know several folks in this room because I'm the guy that's always walking the neighborhood, and there are some great neighbors in here. I hate to leave them, but I think that's the boat I would be put in. Thank you.
No, thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. Valid question. Yes, sir.
Hi, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Carlos Morales, and I'm from 80 Planters Drive. And I hope for you to take a few things in consideration that I don't think were talked about to this point. So, one, the precedent of converting this land to the general commercial. I've seen it in Greer, I've seen it in Greenville, working in economic development, where they will change one piece of property in an area, and then for years to come, they will push and try and move the rest of the property. There's some very specific terminology that was used in the paperwork called nodes, right? That tells me in a way that maybe something in the future would come. Also, the maps do not show that per the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, there is a wetland attached to that property. Talking about the 6 and 8 foot ditches that are across the street from this, why would those be there? So per agriculture, USDA, those type of things, water, this is a high flood area. I was here, born and raised. I remember the 1,000-year flood. That whole area was underwater for, I would say, maybe a year or two at least, just on Kilpatrick. That didn't include the ditches or anything along those lines. Looking into the soils, you can pull soil information from the USDA web soil survey. We can see that it is a Norboco soil which has bad drainage. We could say, well, the houses have runoff, right, from the roofs, but that is a completely different monster when you bring in concrete that has a 90 to 98% runoff rate in an area that already has issues moving water, has wetlands on the property, and several of the other things if they wish to move the rest of the property to general commercial at a later date. This would affect the people in the community. We say, well, you know, having name brand goods is nice. The supply and demand is a very valid point, but I think for the environment in itself and the problems that it would bring the people who have to invest in their homes, us investing in the community, I think, would bring more benefit than bringing in, and almost in a way disrespecting the Speedway for something that's Thursday nights maybe during the summers, Saturday nights during the summers, versus something that's going to be there 24/7. And so I will end with that.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. Got something new for us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm just bringing information.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Ann LeGrand, and I live at 115 Planters Drive. So I am way back in the back on Planters Drive. So will I see the lights? Probably not. But my husband and I, we took it upon ourselves to take care of the lot that is beside this proposed location. We're the ones that cut the grass around the former Bold Pilgrim Church that was there whenever Hugo came through, knocked it down, and then they moved somewhere else. So we are the ones that want to make the front of our neighborhood, which is called Pioneer Point. We'd like that area to stay nice and clean and neat so that it's easier to get into our neighborhood. So when we cut the grass, when we pick up the beer cans, let me tell you, a lot of people drink those blue cans, fish guts. I mean, we see a lot of things along that road. We don't need extra. We don't need anyone to help us out. We're doing enough by ourselves. So to add another business close to that is not going to help us try to maintain that road. We cut along Kilpatrick. We do that. Something to think about. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, we got something here. Okay.
This is me and my wife, Kimberly McDowell. You know, you guys said I had something new.
Yes.
I do, because when me and my wife lived in Kansas City, which was a year ago, and we were looking for somewhere to move, to relocate and retire, we choose Sumter. Why? Because when we drove around and we saw the different communities, when we picked, we live at 180 Alcone Trail in that neighborhood. And we choose that house because it was in a great neighborhood and it had great neighbors. And that was important. Because I left an area with a lot of retail, with a lot of businesses, and I didn't want that in my backyard anymore. So I choose to come to Sumter to get away from that. And that's all I have to say. If my wife may have something, because I love our neighborhood, and I go to Dollar General, but there's enough Dollar Generals in my area. I don't need enough. I mean, I am satisfied because I can go around there on Patriot Park. I don't know the other road out there, you know, because I'm brand new to there, but there's a Dollar General there. So, you know, I would ask you, would you want a business like that in your backyard? I don't. Hey, we don't live in the most racist neighborhood, but we do love our neighborhood.
Amen.
And we want our neighborhood to be safe for not just the people who live there now, but our grandkids and kids to come. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. All right, anyone else? Got it? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. I'm Josh Johnson. I grew up at 280 Planters Drive. Lived there for 18 years. I'm speaking on behalf of my parents that still live there. I've lived there. My mom bought it 37 years ago. And my brother and his wife, they now live in the neighborhood as well. I am a licensed professional engineer. I'm also the county engineer for Lexington County. So I felt like I wanted to bring forth some additional information, especially whenever it comes to the roadway geometry and the 2040 comprehensive plan that Sumter County and Sumter has put forth on the website. So pardon me if I'm reading from my iPad. I've got a lot of information I want to get out.
Read fast, please, sir.
Yes, sir. So the Sumter 2040 comprehensive plan context doesn't support general commercial here. This site is for the suburban development planning area, where the plan discourages leapfrogging and strip patterns and directs larger destination retail to priority commercial areas and corridors such as Broad Street, Lafayette Drive, Ginyard Drive, and McCraysville Road. This stretch of Wedgefield Road is a residential enclave, not one of those corridors. The biggest point that I'd like to hit is traffic and safety. Wedgefield Road is a 2-lane SCDOT minor arterial carrying approximately 5,200 vehicles a day. A new commercial driveway would concentrate those turning movements and conflict points, and it would require an encroachment permit from DOT and site distance verification. The Shamps Road and Wedgefield Road intersection is already substandard. You can see clearly just in this image on the screen that you have right up there. It is skewed roughly at 65 degrees, where SCDOT calls for no more than less of 70 for new roads. So adding commercial turning volumes, 18-wheelers, compounds an existing safety issue. With only approximately 420 feet of frontage, the site just barely meets the 325-foot driveway spacing requirements for a 45-mile-per-hour road, leaving little room for safe placement. And per the ITE Trip Generation 11th edition, a 10,000 square foot variety store would add approximately 630 daily trips. That's roughly 12% of today's corridor traffic. So finally, the city staff professionals' recommendation is unsupportive of general commercial at this location. Staff explicitly warns that general commercial permits a wide variety of commercial uses and is not appropriate given the residential surroundings. They state neighborhood commercial would be more compatible in concept, but that district does not allow a general merchandise store, which underscores the mismatch between the desired use and this specific site. So going against the 2040 comprehensive plan that's already been put in place, paid by taxpayer dollars, that is being implemented as we speak for the county and for the city, this goes strictly against that, and along with all the geometry, the lack of proper geometry with the existing roads. And I just don't think this fits here. From an engineering standpoint and from the residents that live in this area, I know I wouldn't want here, especially when you can go down 4 minutes down the road, 2 miles, and go to the next one. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Stephen Hopkins. I live at 55 Elkhorn Trail. My property butts right up against where this will be. Most of my points have already been covered by others. However, the one thing I'd like to mention is what kind of a neighborhood would you like to be placed there? Dollar General is known for low wages to the people. We are not in a food desert where we're located. Also, they are known and have pending cases against them for deceptive pricing, where the sticker price on the shelves is one thing, and when you get to there, you get overcharged. recent settlement in Ohio. They have a pending class action lawsuit in Florida, and there are other states looking to investigate. All right. I'm against them moving in there just because they have all these negative views already on there. The crime, property values going down. It is not good for the neighborhood. That's not the kind of neighbor I would like to have. That's really the only additional thing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Last hand I saw.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Maria Morales. I live over on Planters Drive. We have a 2-acre lot. We bought our house about 35 years ago to stay there. One thing my son didn't mention when he was talking about the topography of the land and all that stuff is the data they gave for traffic and stuff in their model they used was from Peach Orchard Road. It wasn't even from DeChamps Road. We do not want this in our backyard. I don't want to be redundant. I did have my list, so I'm being very respectful because people did talk about the crime associated with it, homeless gathering in the areas, and it's not consistent. There again, I won't be redundant with the racetrack because the racetrack is, everybody knows, Thursday night occasionally, Friday night, sometimes always Saturday night during the summer. And it is outrageous trying to get out of Kilpatrick. I have seen the cars in the 8-foot ditches and you're looking over the edge and they're on their side. So please, invest somewhere else, Mr. Hodge. We appreciate it. Everybody loves the Dollar General, but we don't want it in our backyard. We have too many problems in that area with water, and we have had break-ins in cars. People are getting more diligent about locking their cars and stuff, but just please keep it out of our neighborhood. Be considerate of us, people who have lived there 30 and 35 years. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. I declare the public hearing closed. Before I ask council, I would like to thank everyone. If you think about what we just did, we had civil disagreement, and I say thank you, and I probably can speak on behalf of this council for thank you, because we've all seen the videos of uncivil disagreement and interactions and violence and all. So I think this speaks well of our community, and to be able to have differing views and come out and use your rights to speak that, and we appreciate the civility that has just occurred over the last hour in 13 minutes. And I do appreciate, no, I mean, I'm not being smart, I do appreciate that sincerely, without without yelling and screaming and having to gavel down. So thank you for that. So the public hearing is closed. So does council like to take, would council like to take any action? Would council like to take any action on first reading?
Mr. Mayor, it's my intention to request that we defer this. Leading up to this meeting, having spoken with parties on both sides of the discussion, with regard to the discussion that we've had tonight, and at any point that this is out of order, related to a motion, just so you can gather me down. But the question before us is not who ultimately the tenant will be, but what land use will we permit? What intensity of activity will we permit on this site? By definition, it seems like one problem that we may have here is the intensity of land use. What the general commercial zoning could open the site up for that might not be conducive to being supportive of the neighborhood. So at this time, I would like to make that motion to defer in order to give all parties some time to allow council, for starters, to take a look at it and to see what, for the community as a whole, what is the proper land use. Again, this motion may not carry, right? I may not receive a second for that. But regardless of how we feel about who the tenant may or may not be, the question before us ultimately is the land use. So just to summarize that, I make a motion that we defer until our next meeting to allow us to study the matter a little deeper.
So, our next meeting, 2 weeks? Or the first meeting in?
Our next meeting, 2 weeks.
Okay.
So as not to belabor it or ordinance.
So the first meeting in October. So there's a motion to defer any action to the first meeting in October. Is there a second?
Second.
So Davis moves, Hasty seconds. But we defer any action to be able to study potential land use as a whole. We give time, is that?
To decide if this is the appropriate land.
Is council clear on that? I guess, so we're in discussion part, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'm a pro-growth city councilman. I've been here for 5.5 years. I've never seen a turnout like this. I don't, personally, I've heard you, I might not agree with a lot that you said, but at the same time, I can't vote against this many people that have given up an afternoon, an evening to come and to voice an opinion.
Thank you.
Some of the opinions I think are totally off base. Some are good. And I spoke to the landowner today. He said, I'm probably going to defer. But I said, but I cannot vote. I mean, because if we do say general commercial is an acceptable code for this property, personally, I think Dollar General is one of the better occupants of the general commercial property. And that's kind of why I asked about, I don't think you want, Mr. Hodge, if someone comes and wants all 9 acres and wants to put in a Tractor Supply of some huge store, I thought that you made a good presentation of, you got it on this end of the property, you're gonna save this buffer of trees. I don't understand, but I'm not, I don't have to, I just see what I see, and I see a lot of people that are, opposed. And I don't like to stop growth. I think eventually one of the last speakers, that's the city engineer, something from Lexington, probably made the best presentation of, it is hard. I've got this many people, I got a staff that voted, that said no. And it doesn't really follow the 2040 plan. And so I'm gonna vote against the motion.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So the motion carries to defer until the first meeting in October, 6-1, with Shaw voting against. Thank you for that again. Do it, and, voting against the FER, this will be picked back up with staffs, I guess, marching orders, Mr. McCormick, understand that. Again, thank you for coming out tonight. So we have another, public hearing. You're welcome to stay and join us for that one. Our meeting. That'll be a good time to leave. See you guys. Joe, they recognize you're high.
Good to see you. Charles, how you doing, sir? Doing good. How are you? Good. Wish I was a better public speaker. I wish I was a better public speaker. No, you fine.
Thank you, Joe.
How are you? It's hard. How you doing? Go ahead and come on out.
But it's gorgeous.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing, sir? Good to see you. Hadn't seen you in a while.
I'm right there. I'm your
Thanks for coming out. Thank you. Yes. Hey, Roger. Good to see you.
Mr. Hodge, how are you, sir?
You can put some power on that thing. It's right in front of the racetrack. They won't sell it. Thank you. Good seeing you. I wish they would roll it. What you think? Huh? They could get the seat.
For the record, can we just take a 3-minute break just to go to the restroom, everybody, let me clear out and then.
Feels good in here. It's gonna take them all night. It's not working.
I know, or so.
Yes. Bring them in again. Yes, sir. I don't have if you don't have what are you gonna do? You can't do nobody. Hey, man, no, they don't. No,
No, no.
Oh, you don't know what I'm referring to?
No, I don't think.
I know there was one, I'm not sure, or he has excited. I always wait a second.
Yes. I'm not sure who that is. I think there's several over there.
Because I know he works for the city.
Yeah.
I know process. Like, he does the fire service. But this guy is
I'm not sure. We gotta keep rolling.
I think when we had the dog park, we did ride the circus with the dog park.
I remember the backyard chicken. Gibson somewhere. Gibson's right out there. Oh, Gibson's right there? Okay. You don't have. Yeah. Make a really high thermostat. Thermostat in here. That's right. Is glass in the bathroom? Okay. All right. So, yeah, thank you for that brief recess. Everyone. We have a ordinance amendment 2502 telecommunications tower in the CBD zoning district. Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. This is a request to amend certain articles of the city zoning and development standards ordinance to allow for telecommunication towers as a special exception use in the central business district. Particularly, this is what we're doing here. What this amendment includes is updating the use table. Currently, cell tower or telecommunications towers are not permitted in the CBD. This amendment would make them a special exception, which is the highest level of land use review goes for public hearing, goes in front of, Board of Zoning Appeals, for final approval. So in all zoning districts in the city, except for the CBD, this already does require a design review and use process, so in many instances requiring special use approval, but in the CBD, they're not currently permitted. What this map shows right here is cell towers in the general proximity of downtown, with one already being, these are older towers, or older telecommunications towers, one of them already being within the CBD, others being in very close proximity. We do see, in accordance with the downtown master plan, more of a CBD type zoning being applied to other areas near the current downtown boundary. We also have current requests coming in involving a facility that will be requesting CBD zoning, but also needing a telecommunications tower. So some of that is just behind this ordinance amendment. So simply what this is adding special exception use in the use table, and then having some language in our design standards for communications towers. And really, this isn't trying to promote telecommunications towers in downtown. In fact, in the CBD, in fact, there's language there would be discouraged. The intent of this is not to allow monopole big cell tower. The intent of this is to allow some flexibility in instances where telecommunication towers may be required. Some instances may include local broadcasters, emergency services, stuff like that. This gives that flexibility to the zoning board to be able to kind of review those requests. Happy to answer your question.
Any questions for Jeff?
Oh, the planning commission recommended.
And obviously staff is bringing it, right? Or is that?
Yes, it's a city initiated.
Yeah, that's right, city, yeah, we initiate, so staff approves it, obviously. So, any questions for Jeff regarding the cell tower? Anything? All right, thank you, sir. Yes, we're the applicant. So, any city residents in favor of this request, like the address council? Any city residents in favor? Let's call anyone in favor of the request, like the address council. Hearing none, any city residents opposed to the request, like the address council. Anyone opposed? Let's call anyone opposed. Declare the public hearing closed. And would the council like to take any action?
I move that we approve first reading, Mr. Second.
Hasty moves, Gibson seconds that we approve first reading as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And first reading carries unanimous. So picking back up on our agenda, we were at council reports. Go into the city manager report. I know we've got the demolition update, I guess. Just an update on that. We got our spot head on the screen right there.
Then,
questions?
so you see I think one additional since last time, the Foxworth, in yellow was added, so we continue to move forward. We expect to have several more in yellow in the near future. Any questions about this?
Any questions for Darren on that? No, sir.
And other than that, just mentioning the ribbon cutting at Weston Park tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's a big time. We're too excited. All right. So that takes us to our comments by our citizens. We've got, I think, most of these were with the public hearing. We got Mr. Tony Williams, so let me just for protocol read a quick guideline of public comment. Reach part of the agenda for comments by our citizens, consistent with city codes, opportunity for citizens of the city who have signed up prior to address council on city matters with the exception of personnel matters. In the interest of time, comments by any one speaker are limited to no more than 3 minutes. To avoid repetition and conserve time, if there's a group of citizens such as neighborhood group or committee, we have the same view. We ask that you designate one or two speakers to speak on behalf of the entire group. Additional portion of the agenda, we want to emphasize citizens and those who are not citizens can express their opinions to council, telephone, email, other avenues on the website. It's not intended as a question and answer. It's an opportunity just to hear from you, our citizens of the city. So thank you. First, Mr. Thoney, you know who you are. If you'll come, name and address, please, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tony Williams, and I reside at 13 Bolton Court, Sumter. And I'm here with the concern about our community on South Sumter relating to animals such as wild dogs, different types of rodents and stuff like that that are being found in these different fields that have overgrowth in. And in fact, there was a citizen who was attacked by a dog, a pet bull, in our area. And he got mangled on his leg area. So what we're concerned about is that these overgrowth are creating hazards in our neighborhood because of the fact that we don't know actually what these things contain. You have, like I said, besides wild animals, we also have infestations of mosquitoes, but that has been addressed to a point because we had some means of spraying done in the area, and that helped tremendously. We noticed also that they're making some preparations from our area, basically from Man Avenue area and Fulton Street area and South Main, and that we're getting more lighting. And those are essential for our safety. What we saw tonight being demonstrated was a community coming out and showing support. And every community has one great desire, to be safe. And we are requesting the same. We want to feel as if that, you know, that anybody can come into our neighborhood and fit in as well as grow and be productive. And I want to thank you for my time.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Elkhorn Trail was, yeah, he spoke, Joey spoke, Mr. Pastor spoke, Woody Borston, and I guess just in all the people in chaos, was there anybody that did not sign up that would like to speak? I guess that would be at the pleasure of council, just making sure. I know there's a lot of people out there. Seeing none, we appreciate y'all coming to that portion of the agenda. Takes us to the end of our agenda. Do we have, I know it's a late night, but it's a brief executive session?
One very brief executive session related to a contractual matter related to property.
Gotcha. So is there a motion to go into executive session? So moved. Yeah, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And we're in executive session. Yeah. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're in open session. No action to be taken. Information only executive session. It brings to the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn? Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. When you leaving? All right. So this took all your packing time tonight. It's not me right here.
My side, sometimes soon.
My friend, how you doing?
Good, how are you, sir? You too.